Hello everyone, my name is Sydney Patterson and welcome to my portfolio presentation. Before I get into my artifacts, I would first like to give you a little information about myself. I'm from Charles County, Maryland, and I went to Salisbury University for my undergraduate degree, where I obtained a Bachelor of Science in Biology with a minor in Psychology in the spring of 2018. From there, I went on to enroll in the MAT program here at SU. While involved in that program, I was also a graduate assistant for the campus recreation department. During my time in this program, I have been afforded so many opportunities. My internship placement was more than I ever could have imagined. I had the opportunity to co-teach with Dr. Sayers, which was such a wonderful learning experience. All of the opportunities I have had have definitely played a part in making me the educator I am going to be in my classroom this fall. Through my time in the MAT program, I've come to learn what type of educator I want to be. I can say I am not the type of teacher that wants to lecture in front of the class every single day. While I know that this is sometimes necessary, I really like the students to be engaged through interactive, investigative activities and labs. Not only does this scaffold their previous knowledge, but it also gives them a tangible activity that they can refer to in later learning segments. Every lesson that I do, I try to create something that is engaging, something that the students are not only going to have fun doing, but also take away key learning points. This leads me to my theme of engaging students through interactive learning. Artifact 1 is one of the first labs that I ever did with my honors biology students at Wacomico High. The characteristics of life lab. In this lab, I have stations set up with different specimens. In groups, the students rotate around the room to stations to determine whether the specimens are alive, dead, dormant, or never alive based on the characteristics of life. Before getting into this lab, the students have to define what the characteristics of life are. This requires them to challenge their preconceptions of what it means for something to be alive. When we did this activity in my class, the students asked a lot of questions about the specimens. This really made me grow as a teacher because I had to learn not to answer the questions with answers, but to instead answer with questions that caused the students to really think about their ideas and their understanding. I thought this activity was great because being one of the first activities we did for the year, the students got to be excited about getting to do something hands-on. I ended up modifying this lesson for my showcase lesson and methods too, and presented it to college students. It went over great there as well. I think this activity is great for letting the students investigate on their own, but it also allows me as a teacher to observe and challenge the students' thought processes. Artifact 2 is another hands-on interactive lab activity that I did with the students, the bubble lab. The purpose of this lab was to relate the functions of a cell membrane to the functions of a soap bubble, which is something the students are already familiar with. So I was able to scaffold their learning by activating their prior knowledge of soap. For this activity, I created a soap solution of water, liquid dish soap, and cornstarch. I then poured the solution into trays, like you can see in the bottom left picture. The students made frames for their membranes by connecting 4 straws and then used the soap solution to create a film across that frame. The students had 6 mini activities to do within this one lab. One of them you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. The group is putting their hand through the membrane to show that the membranes can repair themselves. In the top left picture, you can see the students are blowing bubbles into that soap solution to show that you can create bubbles within bubbles or membrane-bound organelles within a cell. After the lab, the students completed sketch notes that you see in the middle of the slide to connect their observations to the actual functions of the cell. This lesson focused on using models and lab skills to understand new concepts. The students loved this lab, and they were engaged the entire time. Because there were 6 activities to do in less than 50 minutes, we were hands-on deck the entire class. The class went by extremely fast. This is another activity that I would love to incorporate in my future classes. Artifact 3 is probably one of my favorite activities that we did the entire time I was in my internship, and this is organelle speed dating. I did this activity with my honors biology students as a summative assessment at the end of a learning segment about organelles. For this project, I had the students pick an organelle at random out of a hat. They were to create a dating profile for that organelle, and you can see two of the dating profiles that I have by the student examples on the right-hand side of the page. I thought this project was great because it was a jigsaw-style learning activity where each student was responsible for being an expert on their organelle and sharing that knowledge with their classmates. At the culmination of this project, we took a whole day to do a speed dating event where the students worked one-on-one in rounds, like dates, to talk to each other about each other's organelles. This was such a great activity. As you can see in the bottom right picture, we decorated the tables with decorations, and we lit candles, and we even dimmed the lights in the classroom to give it the vibe of a real speed dating event. And the students were so shocked when they came in because that's not normally how we have the room set up. There was on-topic chatter the entire class period, and the class went by really fast. I think the best thing about this project was that all the students wanted to participate, so they all completed the assignment. Engagement during this was 100%. The students really enjoyed this activity, even though they were very timid about it at first. And I definitely plan to incorporate this into my future classes. Artifact 4 is the first multi-day project I did with my students. In this project, the students created an illustrated timeline of the top 10 most influential contributions to cell and neuron theory. This was a multi-content lesson because I incorporated both reading and math components. The students first read an article, which I was able to differentiate for different learning styles based on their reading level. And the students read the article and created a top 10 list of what they thought were the most important contributions within the article. Then I put them in groups, and as groups, the students combined their individual lists into one top 10 list for that group. From there, the students created a timeline that was to scale. I walked them through the math for how to draw the timeline to scale because they were unsure of how to do it at first on their own. And then after that, they made their timelines based on their years and added their contributions and illustrations. All students were responsible for contributing to the timeline to earn their grades, so this really allowed them to be engaged and all contribute evenly. The students worked collaboratively very well, and at the end, they produced a tangible representation of their understanding, which we then analyzed as a class. Artifact 5 is one of the most important non-lesson plan related artifacts I have in my portfolio as a science teacher. It is my Flynn Scientific Certificates of Completion for the online lab safety courses for high school and middle school science. As a science teacher, you have so much to worry about when it comes to safety, especially with labs using specimens, chemicals, and various lab equipment. In any of these hands-on activities, you could have safety issues, so making sure that as a teacher, you understand what you can do and what your responsibilities are to your students is so highly important. These safety courses really opened my eyes to what, as a science teacher, you need to worry about and what precautions you need to take. I think since I want to focus on doing hands-on activities and engaging students through these labs, that lab safety is really something I'm going to need to emphasize in my classroom. This is to not only make sure my students are being responsible for themselves, their peers, and me, but that I in turn am being responsible for all of them. I think that having these certificates really shows that I understand the safety risks associated with engaging lessons, and that I have a plan for ensuring my students can still have fun and be safe. Before I close out, I would like to thank a few people for their impact on my time here at Salisbury University. First off, I would like to thank Dr. Starlin Weaver for opening my eyes to the option of the MAT program and to helping me during my time here. You know the difficulties I encountered last semester, and you really pushed me to get through those and overcome and be successful in all that I do. I'd also like to thank Dr. Ron Sayers for his willingness to allow me into his class and allow me to co teach with him. He is an awe inspiring mentor and advisor, and someone I look up to immensely. And without him, I know I would not be where I am today. I would also like to thank Dr. Ruth Malone and Amy Gallagher for their help both with developing my classroom management and for helping me get through the end of my internship successfully. Thank you so much for everything, and thank you to all of my other professors. Without you, I definitely wouldn't be in the spot I am today. I would also like to give a huge shout out to my mentor teachers, Mr. Sonny Smith and Mrs. Rebecca Matthews. Becky, you have been such a wonderful help to me and someone I aspire to be in my future classroom. And without you, I don't know where I'd be, but it definitely would not be as prepared as I am to get into my classroom in the fall. To let everybody know, I have accepted a job working for Charles County Public Schools at my former high school, North Point. I'll be teaching 10th grade biology and then either earth systems or chemistry. This is a dream come true for me, and without all of your help and guidance, it would not have come true. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart, and thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation.